First order of business. Somebody's birthday today. A very important birthday. But we are going to celebrate that a little bit later. Welcome this morning. Everybody that I wanted to be here is here. Our core group. I wanted to start by talking about how Buddhism is often misinterpreted as an atheistic religion. And that's true in one sense, that there's not a single creator God like the Abrahamic religions. There's not one person up there that we pray to. But there are a plethora of different gods or devas or bodhisattvas in every different tradition of Buddhism that you look at. So Buddhism started in India, northern India. You're looking at your map right here. And then spread to Southeast Asia. It's a globe, actually. I'm going to spin it around here so you can see. Spread to Southeast Asia. Went to China, went to Korea first, and then Japan. Picked up the different folk religions in each of those cultures. In Thailand, which is the largest Buddhist country in the world, doesn't have the largest population, that's in China, but it's the largest Buddhist country. 95% of the people are Buddhist in Thailand. You'll find shrines venerating Brahma, which is the Hindu god, Hindu creator god. And actually in China, you'll find similar shrines. They still venerate those gods. As well as in China, it's picked up a lot of different Taoist gods or devas from the past. In Japan and Korea, it's the same story. In Japan, the folk religion Shinto has been a part of Japan long before Buddhism was part of it. Picked up those gods. And in our Korean tradition, if you go over to Korea, you'll find shrines dedicated to Sanshin, which I think I'm saying that right, Sanshin, the mountain gods in Korea. All the temples up in the mountains, and they believed in those gods long before in the shamanistic religions. Part of the reason Buddhism was able to spread is for that very reason, because when it went to different cultures, it was able to adapt to that culture. It was able to take on what was already there, incorporate Buddhist teachings into that culture. Aside from times when a state religion was forced onto people, there were times when the kings would decree that Buddhism was going to be better for them, either get them into heaven or make them more money or something like that. Then it was forced on people, but it still wouldn't have stuck if those people couldn't have used it, if they couldn't have done it in some way. You might think of the way that Christianity now celebrates Christmas. When Christianity spread to Germany and Norway and all these different places, they already had these winter festivals that they would celebrate at the solstice. And the best way to get people to celebrate the birth of Jesus, which they didn't used to celebrate, that used to be just Easter, was the main holiday in Christianity, was to adapt that holiday into Christianity. Now we can say, yeah, let's celebrate in the Christmas. Let's get that big tree set up and let's put baby Jesus on there. There was a time, just a little tidbit for you, I thought this was interesting. There was a time in England where they canceled Christmas, actually, in the 17th century. People were too much debauchery going on, in the winter festivals. So they canceled it. Lasted 16 years. And it came back. They actually put a king back in power because he was going to make Christmas come back. Took out Parliament. Should be no surprise then that as Buddhism has spread to America, it's adopted things from our culture. It's adopted the gods of our culture. Buddhism has only spread in America because it's adapted to our sense of strong independence, and our unfettered capitalism, and our true God, money. And I mean that actually because money does have that quality of being a god. If you know, like who do you pray to more? Be honest. The Buddha or the paycheck? Or the Social Security check when it comes? Or the boss, thank you. And just to be clear, because we're talking about how Korean Buddhism has adapted to America, I take our Korean tradition very seriously. There's no way that Buddhism lost its core as it moved to different cultures. And even though Buddhism can look very different in different cultures, if you take Thai Buddhism and compare it to Tibetan Buddhism, or compare it to Pure Land Buddhism in China, or compare it to our Buddhism over here in America, they're very different. They have a lot of different qualities. But the core of Buddhism stays there and adapts to those different qualities. For instance, over here, we all have jobs to pay for our Buddhism. That changes a lot. Like the clergy aren't just sitting here and meditating, looking at the wall for 9 years, cutting our eyelids off. We have Sunday services, adapted from Christian faith. It makes it pretty easy for people. They usually have Sundays off over here, come Sunday morning. We give something of a sermon. We do something like, our chants are like hymns, right? Hymns in the Christian church. I've been thinking about this adaptation a lot lately because I think of being a Buddhist, my job as a teacher, actually like a job, like my full-time job that I have. I work at the garden center, right, helping people. I work 40 hours a week, but sometimes 50 and 60 hours a week when it's nice out. And I spend so much time and so much of my life worrying about my job. Do you guys do that? Do you worry about your job? I don't know. Is it just me? So much time worrying about it. I compare it to other things that I might want to be doing. Pretty normal. Most people do that. But being a Buddhist teacher, I'm always thinking, why am I spending so much time in this part of my life, working on this so hard, when this is what I really am passionate about? So much of our lives are intertwined with money, right? If it's not money, the specific green paper, it's that number in our bank account that gives us security. It's our next meal. It's our mortgage on the house. It's our family that we're taking care of. It's the things we love to do in our free time when we get it. Money really has that religious kind of quality, and that we look for it so often, that we're having a spiritual connection to it. Or in the least, it seems to have some kind of evil spiritual quality, like Mara coming to get you. Everybody that has money is always thirsty for more money, right? If you're a hungry ghost, and that's what the money is, trying to get more money down your throat. Makes you think, why do you work, right? Why are we attracted to this evil? Why do we keep going after this, chasing the paper? Maybe we should get rid of money, right? And then the world would be fine. No more evil. When you think about money, you think about like the shady Wall Street guy or the politicians that are greedy for money, and that's how they make all their decisions, and that's why our country's terrible, because of the politicians. So maybe we should get rid of money. No, that's stupid. Don't get rid of money. Money is great, actually. Money is just a useful tool. And what we're talking about isn't the money itself. It's not the number in the bank account. It's our desires for it. It's how we're working towards it. It's what our life, because it revolves around all these things, it's all those things that are a little bit deeper below the surface of that dollar figure. Our anxieties about buying enough food for the future. Our anxieties about going into debt and having that number loom over us. These anxieties are what's really running our lives. Our relationship with money, or with all these different economic agents that are going into our life and running our life, is really complicated. If you're looking for an answer, I don't have an answer for you on this. This is not me teaching you about money and how to use it better. This is us exploring it together. I don't know. It's too complicated for anybody to understand as far as I'm concerned. If you've ever listened to an academic economics talk, those are over my head. We can get very cynical about it, about things like the economy and capitalism taking advantage of people. And I'm going to ask you to step back from the cynicism for a minute, because I might be the most cynical of all, and I'm going to try as well. Maybe things aren't so bad. Maybe, especially in America, America has the largest economy in the world. That's kind of crazy. We live in the country with the largest economy in the world. Bigger than China. China has 1.1 billion people more than us. More than the people that we have. And we have the biggest economy in the world by a lot of measures. But maybe this economic system isn't all bad. Maybe there's parts of it that are good. Or maybe it's a system that we can actually work in. I was listening to a podcast the other day because I'm hip, and I listen to podcasts when I walk my dog. And it was about some corporation. It's a podcast about business and stuff like that. It was about some corporation that did something that was really good, and like they took their profits and put it in the rainforest to save the rainforest or something like that. And I found myself saying like, wow, I really believe in this company. I really believe in this company. And then just like this bad taste got in my mouth. Can you really believe in a company? It's not even a real person. It's a corporation. And then thinking about the laws that exist so that corporations can't be sued for bad things that they do, and all these different legal things instantly flooded into my head. I think it's still there, that taste. But I really did. I really thought like, maybe this is good. The world is working in the right direction. This person took money from profits of making bread or whatever they do, or like protein bars, and then did something in the rainforest to keep the rainforest going. Something we all want, and we like protein bars. Things are working well. But you know what I mean? Like, it seems like that's a little too perfect. What about all these shady things that are going on? A corporation's job is really to make money, right? It's not to save the rainforest. So part of me thinks, shouldn't we just be saving the rainforest and not the corporation doing it? Is that the better lifestyle? I thought about my role in it, and I'm asking you to think about your role in it. Is our money really that impactful? When a small corporation does something like this, I actually feel pretty good purchasing their product, knowing that they're doing good for the environment. Maybe they grow bigger, and maybe they donate more money, and maybe they treat their employees well, and maybe this is how the world's supposed to work. And when Coca-Cola like donates $5 million to a small Little League or something like that, I think I'm not buying Coke because of that. That's just a show, right? This is just going on. But the good things are going in. Obviously, there's a balance here. We're balancing the good aspects of our society that are moving forward versus the bad aspects. Pollution, deforestation, trash, water pollution. But the fact is, we're a part of this. We're a part of this economy here. We make money in certain ways. We give out money in certain ways. We have to buy certain things. People have something of a monopoly over our lives in certain different ways. So is it worth it to make a small advancement in the right direction that we think might help even a little bit? Should we just keep all of our money to ourselves and only grow our own vegetables? What did the Buddha say about it? Well, he said, yeah, give it up, idiot. Go live in the forest. That's what I did. Give up everything. Go sit in the forest and beg for food. But I don't know if the Buddha would make it in America today. I'm pretty sure in a lot of cities, beggars go to jail. You go straight to jail. There's like spikes underneath the freeways so the people can't lay down, you know. The forests are all privately owned, so he can go to like the desert in Nevada, but he can't go anywhere with trees. If you put your hands in Hapjung, in the Samyutta Nikaya, he describes right livelihood. He says, what is right livelihood? There is the case where a disciple of the noble ones, having abandoned dishonest livelihood, keeps his life going with right livelihood. This is called right livelihood. So ends the reading. That was a little vague. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. There's another sutra I want to read here in a second, where the Buddha actually lays out a pretty detailed view of a lot of actions he would consider right livelihood. Very specific. If you like going to the movie or theater, don't read the sutra. You don't want to know what he has to say. If you put your hands in Hapjung again. The wise and virtuous shine like a blazing fire. He who acquires his wealth in harmless ways, like to a bee that honey gathers, riches mount up for him, like an anthill's rapid growth. With wealth acquired this way, a layman fit for a household life, in portions 4 divides his wealth. Number 4, divides his wealth. Thus will he friendship win. 1 portion for his wants he uses. 2 portions on his business spends. The 4th for times of need he keeps. So ends the reading. Just reading that, I'm not sure why I went with that translation. It was a little hard to understand. But if you caught it, he actually gave you some sound financial advice there. That was like paid financial advice. I don't know how he saw that coming 2,500 years ago. He said 4 ways to spend your money when you have money. First, 50% should go to your business, which I take business to mean like the business of your life, the things that you do, your house, your car, whatever you have. He said 25%, 1/4, should go to savings for the future, and 1/4 should be spent on things that you like. So I'm going to patent this, and I've got the new financial book coming out next week. That's unusually clear advice for the sutras. I've read quite a few sutras, not all of them, but that's unusually clear advice. But I want to focus on this other part that you might have heard. Acquiring wealth like a bee gathering honey in harmless ways. To me, this is a great analogy. When you think of something so pure, like some kind of corporation that could operate so purely, you think of a bee. Goes, gathers nectar from the flower. Flower gives that nectar as payment for it to take some pollen to the next tree, start a seed, the fruit grows, everybody's happy. We take the hive and take all the honey out, and then bee colony collapse happens, and life goes on. It finds a way somehow. The Buddha also recognized, though, that acquiring that wealth was an okay thing to do, especially necessary. Remember, the Buddha might have been a beggar, but he was begging somebody. He didn't think that he lived in a vacuum, and we shouldn't either as Buddhists. We know that we don't live in a vacuum. Working for corporations, saving money, taking care of your family unit and your business, it's about as American as it gets, isn't it? That's the American way. As Buddhism spreads, I sometimes think that we should get rid of that modern society is terrible, right? Buddhism should start teaching us to be more and more simple. But 1, I'm not sure that that's true. And 2, it ain't happening. It's not going to happen. You're not going to make that happen in America here. If we all decided that we were making a hermitage up in the mountains of the Porcupine Mountains in Michigan, you would never see us again, would you? How often are you coming up there? I'd like to read you a little something that comes from some documents in our Tego order, and actually maybe we can find out later what this is from. It was called the Parameters of our Tego order. It's in one of our guiding documents. It goes, in accordance with Mahayana philosophy, all of the clergy, monks and Dharma instructors, must concentrate on the mundane world, which is one of the reasons why clergy is encouraged to have families. Tego order avoids having the Sangha practice solely for their own benefit. Instead, it insists upon a practice that benefits all beings. The order inspires the Sangha to cultivate him or herself to become bodhisattvas, who ultimately sacrifice and share in the suffering of the mundane people. This is strongly encouraged by the Tego order, as are any actions that help alleviate the social problems facing people in general. That means a lot to me. That's incredibly inspiring to me. When I came to this temple for the first time, I was like this in meditation, very rigid. I was really good at meditation, right? In my head, I was going to live in a cave somewhere, in the mountains someday. Buddhist monk, shaved head and everything. But through the gracious training of my teacher here and the association with the people of this Sangha, I came to understand that Buddhism wasn't this one thing that I thought it was. It was actually many different things that I had no idea about when I came. And as I went through the process of becoming a teacher and learning more and more from the clergy here and more from the people that come to this temple, I realized I wanted to help the people here. And I mean you guys first, but the people here in our city, the people in Michigan, the people in America. And as I'm writing this, actually, I haven't thought of this before, but writing this, I thought, these are my people, which I don't say lightly because I'm not a nationalistic person. I am anti-national. You've probably had enough of that with like recent political rhetoric and things like that, right? But it feels like that. These are my people, and I don't mean it mine like I own them or that I'm exactly like these people. I mean that these are the people around me that I have the responsibility to be a part of, that I have the responsibility to help, to share with. Why would I expect people on the other side of the world in Korea to be the ones that teach us Buddhism over here? They gave that responsibility to us. And beyond Buddhism, I don't mean just Buddhism. I mean helping people in all these different ways. This is strongly encouraged by the Tago order, as are any actions that help alleviate the social problems facing people in general. I learned to help people, you have to be there with the people. There's a certain lifestyle that I thought maybe I would have, especially by now. I've been here 10 years or more. And I'm actually very happy with the lifestyle I do have and with the people that are around us here. To help people, you need to be with them. And in that way, I'm helped as well by being around all of you guys. That's the Bodhisattva way. This is the Mahayana path. Here's another part of that Tago document. The Tago order was founded on the principles of Master Tago Bo Wu, which are the pursuit of ultimate integration, the combination of samadhi and prajna, and educating the people on the path to enlightenment. The main concern of the Tago order is to find a way to best fit into modern society. I'd like to see Buddhism spread in America, not because I'm a part of it and I want my thing to spread, but I think it's uniquely suited to helping us. Its ability to adapt over 2,500 years has shown that. But it probably takes less cynicism than I have right now. I'm working on that. I think if we're honest with ourselves, then we can discover how this Buddhism can work into our lives. It's part of expounding the teachings and part of breaking apart what we think we are, what our country is, what our system is. Thinking back to the discourse on right livelihood, there was a key word in that. He said right livelihood is not wrong livelihood, basically. But he said when you stop being dishonest with yourself and living in the wrong livelihood, you will live in the right livelihood. That key right there is saying this isn't something we need to attain, this is something we need to break down. And just to illuminate that, I think that this means we need to look at our relationship to what we have around us. When we get stuck in the thinking that everything external to us is what's wrong with the world, that this needs to change and that needs to change, we stop thinking more about what we need to change inside of us. That's always the bane of Buddhism. We keep coming back to we're the problem, right? We call those the kleshas, by the way. That's the dust that covers our eyes. These are the things that inhibit us from seeing clearly. I don't believe that what the Buddha taught meant that all people need to shift their life closer and closer to the historical Buddha's life. He lived 2,500 years ago. It was a different landscape back then. The earth was like 95% covered with trees, and it's not anymore. I think the situation we're in right now, at least I feel this way, and I'm hoping that if you feel this way, that hopefully we can step away from that a little bit. The water's really muddied, and it's hard to see how the little things that we're doing are good and that they're going to impact society. But I think that there is something that we can do, and I think that even these little things, that I started buying like 500 protein bars a year now so that I can save the rainforest. I think even little things like that do make a difference. I started thinking about like $1 and how $1 is like a vote. Like you vote for the direction you want the world to go in. You know, and maybe sometimes you regret your vote and you cast that vote in the wrong direction, but you take that vote and you put it somewhere else. So with that kind of thinking, all of this time that we spend on getting money and providing a household for people and doing all these other things, if we're honest with ourselves and we're thinking about what our real intentions are, we're making a difference. We're helping people. We're voting in the direction that we think the world should move in. It Doesn't always have to be a selfless donation to a single person in poverty, right? It can be a general donation in the right direction of the world. One of my favorite book series is by Isaac Asimov. He's like the greatest science fiction writer. I'm sure somebody's read some of his books here. It's called the Foundation series. It's this big one. And a lot of books in it. And I won't spoil anything, but Foundation series is about him coming up with a mathematical formula that spells out the future of the universe. This is when we live on tons of different planets here, and he's got it figured out that the universe is going to head in this direction, right? And it's going to be headed for 10,000 years of misery, of death and destruction and everything breaking down. He said that this mathematical formula can't precisely predict that this is going to happen and this person's going to die and that's going to fall. But overall, it has a 99% accuracy that this is the direction we're going in. And the more you use the formula, the more you can see the direction. His solution to this wasn't that you can fix it and take it away. He said there's nothing you can do to change it. These things are already set in motion. Or nothing you can do to stop it, I should say. But you can change it. You can decrease how long the suffering is going to last. And I kind of think of our current system like that. You can't exactly stop the cogs of capitalism that are stomping over the rainforest, but we can move it in a direction of less suffering every day, even with a little bit. I'm going to end with a quote from his book. He said, "Never let your sense of morals prevent you from doing what is right." Thank you.